truck, started talking to some aliens. Said I'm the best mechanic this side of the Rockies. If I can get your bird in the air, you gotta swear to let me drive for a while. Ooh, she was a crazy dancer, a goddamn conspiracy about reality won't collapse if we can find your hands. It wasn't long before the saucer hummed, and I knew straight away this was gonna be fun. We decided to race along Howard Pass, with me in the truck and her in the air, and the moon to the left like a roadside flare, illuminating the valley we call Paradise. Ooh, she was a crazy dancer, a goddamn conspiracy about her reality won't collapse so we can find your hands. Ooh, she was a crazy dancer, goddamn conspiracy about her reality won't collapse so we can find your hands. Bishop Creek when I saw them burns. Took a sharp right on something, voted too a little too fast for her with lights out. She circled round and lost altitude, dropped hard and fast into the lower pool. On a full moon you'll see through those remains. Ooh, she was a crazy dancer, a goddamn conspiracy about her reality won't collapse so we can find your hands. Ooh, she was a crazy dancer, goddamn it, conspiracy about her reality won't collapse so we can find your hands.
Click that like.
Yeah!
If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. A Codega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with a Codega and sharing one of yours. Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Rye the Codega, and tonight we got a special show for you. I'm going to be joined with the fabulous Betina Moss, and the topic is, or should I say, topics we're going to be talking about is sleep paralysis, night terrors, things that go bump in the night, shadow beings. And shadow beings are anything from Hatman to even the Hag. Sometimes could be considered a shadow being. Also, just the typical shadow being as well. Now, what might come up in the conversation as well is aliens. Well, why are we bringing up aliens in this conversation with night terrors and sleep paralysis? I think there is a strong connection in there. All right. Well, that'll be a lot of things to add to my codex. And if you're wondering where Betina is right now, we just had some technical difficulties here setting things up. So she's running just a slightly behind schedule, which isn't that bad. She'll be here probably in about, I would say, 10 minutes. I'm just throwing out a number. Could be wrong, could be right. We'll see. Now, okay, if you want to help out the show, mine and Betina show as well, there's always a couple ways to do that. Myself personally, I have a Patreon. I have some tiers. I've been upgrading that. Go check it out. There's some new swag in there. So if you sign up for a year or for the larger Patreon tier, you get a lot of swag. And then there's the cheaper one that I have, and which is fantastic to help us. Or you can deck yourself out in some of my merch. I've been making brand new, really cool T-shirts. You should check that out. Also, you can become a member on my YouTube channel. That helps you. What that gets you is early access to all my interviews. My interviews will be coming out like I'm about a month and ahead of my interviews. So you can jump the line, jump the queue, just so to speak, and you can you can watch them in full and see what they are. All right, and also the most simplest thing, and finally, you can share the show. You can share Betina's show. You can share Crypto-Normal. Oh my gosh, encounters, or my show, of course, Codega's Codex of Curiosities. You can share it. You can comment. Even commenting right now in the comments is doing us a lot. It really helps us in the algorithms. It boosts us, and we get seen, and that is always what we want. Because we are doing this. We're not making any paywalls or nothing like that. Betina is making great content. I'm trying to make great content as well. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. All right. So I'm going to get into this, and let me just check out the comments first of all here. Speaking of comments, hey DJ, Marquetta, everybody, fantastic to see a lot of people here. A lot of people on Betina's show. I can see that Crypto-Normal encounters. Everybody says they have issues with saying mine, and I have issues saying with Betina's. All right. So, like I said, tonight we're going to be tackling that. Now, have any of you in the chat, have any of you ever experienced any sleep paralysis yourself? If you have, throw it up there. Say, yeah, I have. I have. Personally, myself, and this is where it gets iffy for me. I've had an experience, and I've had people tell me, "Oh, that was sleep paralysis." I don't believe it was. I had an experience with a shadow being when I was in bed, and I don't believe it was sleep paralysis. But has anybody? Seesaw 401 interested? I suffered for over 40 years since preschool. Sleep paralysis to forced astral projection. Forced astral projection. That is interesting. That's something I haven't heard before. So, like, you've been forced out of your body. Is that what you're saying? And then you look back and you're like, "Holy crap, I'm out of my body." Davy Jones Locker 3 to 4 times. Now, one of the things with sleep. Just a heads up, everybody. I record outside on my patio, on my rooftop patio. So behind me is what you see. It's not a light show. It is actually lightning that's going. A big, huge storm just passed through. And luckily, when we started, it just finished. Marquetta as well. Awesome. Okay. Well, I mean, not awesome. Sleep paralysis is not. Now, sleep paralysis is, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I have not experienced it. This is what I have been told personally. you are unable to move. You can almost not say a word. Sometimes you can get some noises coming out like, but you can't really talk or speak, and you can't scream. Sounds like aliens, when you're out in outer space. No one can hear you scream. You can move your eyes, though. And that's the thing. That's the part where it becomes creepy, is that you can start to see things. Maybe something on the edge in the corner of the room starts to move. Something is coming into your periphery and then slowly comes over to you. Now, one aspect of this as well, of course, is shadow beings that come with this. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead because I want Betina and I to have this conversation about that. No. So I got a great show again. Never asleep, always before falling asleep. Seesaw. So you get sleep paralysis before you fall asleep. That is really interesting. Marquetta, I call in Jesus Christ in my mind to wake up, which is very. I think that is imperative for everything that goes on in the paranormal and supernatural. Is that I believe we need to be calling on our higher powers, because it's something more. There's something more. There's a connection in there. Now, have any of you heard of Vicky Joy? Has anybody heard of Vicky Joy? If you have, I want you guys to say, yes, I heard Vicky Joy. I've heard of Vicky Joy. Now, I had Vicky Joy on probably about 4 episodes ago. And Vicky Joy has written a book, have lots of information on sleep paralysis. Yeah, Davy Jones. Yes. Joe Jett says yes. So I had Vicky Joy on, and she is amazing, full a wealth of information on this. Someone who has this who's had this experience as well, like you, Seesaw, for her whole. There we go, Seesaw, reading the book now. Excellent. Yeah, Vicky. I will be having Vicky on again probably in September. I think I have to check my schedule. I pre-booked her way ahead, so right after I finished that interview with her, I was blown away, and I just definitely wanted to do another round, and so I booked her again. You have to don't mind the bugs flying around. Like I said, I'm outside here now. So one of the things that Vicky Joy talks about is, what do they call these? Screen memories. Okay. Has anybody heard of screen memories? So like, what it is like an implant of your not true memories. It's like being replaced. It's kind of like like the little buzzer from Men in Black, when they zap you and they replace your memories with something else. They make you believe you're seeing something else. So this is something that comes into play. And again, I don't want to get too far into this all, because I really want to bounce these ideas off of Betina. Now, like I said, I've never actually had sleep paralysis, and I've had a shadow being, though. I've had multiple shadow beings. The one was, you know what? I'll get into one, okay? And this shadow being was, it didn't take form. Oh, hang on, I'm going to read Jason's comment here. Back in the mid-90s, multiple times, it was the demon hag. Ah, yes, the hag. It starts in the dream, but I end up getting suffocated, calling on Jesus in my mind, get rid of it. I couldn't open my mouth. Now, Jason, I have a question. When this was happening in the 90s, were you married at the time? Did you have a girlfriend? Were you sleeping beside anybody at the time? Because I find that intriguing as well, because it's almost so, and I don't ever doubt any of these interactions, but it's like having a witness there. Actually, instead of talking into mine, I'll talk about a gentleman here where I live. His name is Moises, and he had an incident where he was lying in bed, and through a window, there was a long, skinny window. This creature entered through the window. It like bypassed. Oh, Jason. So you were single. Okay. Because it would be interesting if someone was able to witness that. And again, I'm not saying you're not having that experience. I'm saying it would be very interesting to see what someone's outside take of the experience you're having, because you said you were being suffocated. Well, I'll continue with the story here and you'll see why. So Moises was watching this creature come in, and he couldn't move, could not move. Of course, sleep paralysis. So it had long legs and it was very gangly. Um, if I recall, it might have even had six appendages of sorts. It might have been just been a tall, slender type man or creature or thing. So it entered through the window, and then it took its hand or its appendage and pushed it down into his mouth, like started forced his way into his mouth and started choking him. So when you were talking about being suffocated, this is what was happening to him, and he couldn't breathe, and he was there and he was gagging and he couldn't breathe. Now, this is the thing then, was he did have his girlfriend with him. His girlfriend woke up to the noises that he was making, and she looked over and saw him, and he was sitting up in bed with his head back, exactly in the position that this creature, that this thing had manipulated him into. And she saw him choking. She didn't see anything that was choking him, but she saw him like gagging and choking. So like, to have someone else witness this, but it not witnessing the thing doing that, but be able to see like these, like, your bodies are being manipulated. This is happening. Now, was this creature in between? This is the thing, is, was this creature in between? When I mean in between, I mean in between worlds. Was it in between the sleep world and our world? And, because when we enter the dream state, are we a portal? Are we an access point? And are they able to somehow come through that access point or manipulate or do something to us? All right, so so that was the story here. I'm going to go through here and check out some of these comments here. So Jason, I'll start with, I was single. Marquetta, I get sleep paralysis when I fall asleep watching or listening to scary movies or listening to scary YouTube stories. Well, then don't listen to this one at night. No, no falling asleep. I don't think it's gonna be too scary, but nonetheless, I personally have stopped watching all horror movies or scary movies, other than something about zombie movies. Zombie movies have my attention. Maybe it's the survival aspect of it, or maybe something where it's very similar to what is going on in everyday life now, because a lot of people are walking around like this, pretty much zombified. We're not interacting with the real world. Now, Suji, I had sleep paralysis all my life. Once I had it when my husband was awake. I thought I was thrashing around wildly and screaming, but when I woke up, he said I hadn't made a peep or moved at all. And Jason, but my late father witnessed it. He heard the moaning to get his attention. He turned the lights on, but it immediately disappeared. Crazy. Seesaw. I was able to grunt once. My live-in nanny and I had a pre-arrangement to watch me. My daughter heard my grunt and got her. She sat until I was fully out of it, and she stated that there was nothing unusual, except I did not move at all, and my breathing was labored. After my kids began seeing shadow people, but I never saw anything. It's all real. They live, we sleep. Yeah, exactly. It is in there, Davy Jones, when you said they live. The movie They Live, it is a campy B-rated movie, but dear God, it is. There's some truth to that. All right, and without further ado, I'm bringing B is showing up. I'm just going to see if she is ready. She's just almost ready, so she'll give me the thumbs up if she's ready. You give me the thumbs up. You ready? Yeah. All right, let's bring B. All right. Hang on. Why am I having issues? There we go. B, how are you doing? Oh, you are muted. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I'm sure everyone can hear you now. Yes.
Yes, I'm doing good tonight. I'm glad to be joining you on your show tonight to be talking about this subject, which is a very creepy subject, but it's
yes,
it's one of those things that a lot of people have basically gone through. Hold on, Brian. I'm going to turn the brightness down on my screen because I think it's a little too bright.
No
But
problem.
what I was going to say too is just that a lot of people experience a lot of these things that people don't even realize that we actually go through. And it's just one of those things that you just don't talk about. It's kind of taboo, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
it is. It is. It is one of
Can
like
you hear me?
there's yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
You,
Yes,
okay.
and I think my lighting is off. I apologize, y'all, for that.
No, I think it
But
looks
go
good. I
ahead.
think it looks good. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's so the subject is a little bit taboo because I think when it surrounds our bedroom, everybody doesn't want to talk about it. It's kind of like this, when we talk, we can talk about alien abductions, we can talk about being outside and seeing cryptids all the time. That's an easy one to
Hmm.
talk about. But maybe it's because we're more vulnerable. We're in a more vulnerable state, and we're in our bed, and it's kind of like I don't want to talk about this. Is that could be it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is, but it's also depending on how often a person has had experiences with stuff like this. When it comes
Yes.
to Bigfoot, dogman, cryptids, paranormal, shadow people, sleep paralysis. I heard you talking to somebody earlier in the chat. They said they had been experiencing sleep paralysis for like what, 44 years?
Yeah, I think that was Jason Broussard, and then Marquetta. I think Marquetta is probably one of your admins or moderators.
Yes,
Yeah, she was
she's a
saying
part
that
of my team.
as yeah, she was saying that she's had it as well. And I just seen that there's one. She
Hmm.
says 4 years ago I had some sleep paralysis, and I heard, oh, hang on, why don't I do this instead of reading them out? I'd say, and I heard demons call my name. I couldn't see the demons. I could only hear them. And when that happened, the Holy Spirit told me not to show fear and call on Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Very important.
There's a lot of stuff that goes with sleep paralysis. A lot of people feel like I don't agree that it's hypnopompic and hypnagogic hallucinations, like the scientific community says. That's one of the things that's put out there, and that's just not. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. Y'all can have y'all's own opinion, but my thoughts on it from what I've experienced over 20 years. I know for a fact it's not a hallucination. You are not crazy.
Mhm.
What other time do you just see stuff like that? You know that if you're not, and even we'll go into some other things too. And this is just, I will say like my ideas on certain things, but I pay attention. And like the Bible says that there's no new thing under the sun. I believe that these
Right.
things that we experience today are some of the same things that people were experiencing thousands of years ago. A lot of people don't realize that in the book of Job, and I'll have to look it up but later, but in the book of Job, there's a case of sleep paralysis or night terror showing up in his room. And Marquetta or somebody out there that's in the chat, look that up. Like, where in the book of Job does it talk about um, the shadow of the night when men fall into a deep sleep? Go and somebody find that if y'all can. But I wanted to say that these things have been going on for years. The reason I feel like it's not a hallucination is because the simple fact that basically some people sleep paralysis experiences are way worse than others. One example that I can give of why I say I don't believe that it is just a hallucination or just a regular nightmare is because some people during their sleep paralysis may actually open there's several different things, and I'll explain and break it down in great detail what sleep paralysis is for the people in the chat in a few minutes who may or may not know, or for new people who might come on and watch. But or maybe I should do that first before I go
Let's
into it.
let's go into that first, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay. So sleep paralysis is the scientific community looks at it like a sleeping disorder, and they have put it into a category of hypnopompic and hypnagogic hallucinations. Or one of those is auditory hallucinations, and the other is visual. I can't remember which, but auditory and visual hallucinations. They believe that when you go to sleep at night, the reason that you are paralyzed during sleep paralysis is that your body is during REM sleep. That is your body's way of your brain's way of turning off your body so you're not doing anything or moving around, or so you don't harm yourself in your sleep. I highly disagree with that, but that is their rationale on it. The reason that, so further, and I'll go into why I disagree in a few minutes, but further into sleep paralysis, those hallucinations usually come with what they call felt presence. Felt presence is when you are aware, like that you are either, sometimes it'll start off as a dream, and sometimes it'll just start straight off as sleep paralysis. It'll be sometimes a nightmare that kind of progresses, and then to the point where you're fearful now, and now that has gotten you to the point where you, at any other time where you'll be able to end a nightmare in the dream because you don't like the way it's going. During sleep paralysis, you can't just wake up, you can't move, you can't speak, you can't do anything. You are paralyzed. It's almost if you were in the bed laying on your back and you are tied up by an invisible straitjacket. That's what sleep paralysis is like.
Yeah.
Now, to further that fear, add to that the fact that now you are aware because you feel another energy in the room. You can feel the energy, you can feel the vibration, you feel that there's another presence in the room. Most cases when people have sleep paralysis with that felt presence, 9 times out of 10, majority of the time, you have some people who actually embrace it, and I don't embrace it. And there's probably a lot of people who are maybe more so in the occult or not really aware of what can happen to them during these episodes of astral projection, sleep paralysis, out-of-body experiences, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, you have the aspect of it that now you have a presence, you can feel it. And not only, it's a difference in if you have somebody in the room that's a murderer or somebody that's another person that's a human being, and you might be fearful and even terrified or afraid, you know that they're going to kill you. But if you have something else in the room, sometimes visible, sometimes invisible, but you can still feel that presence. There's a difference when I say that the fear is on a whole nother level, because that fear it almost consumes you, becomes a part of you. You can feel it. It's something that's tangible. It's like it resonates. It has a vibration, an energy that it gives off. Like that is so strong. For me, the ones I've had have been bad. So the anger, the rage, the fear, the depression, the hopelessness, all of those things, add that all together, as bad as you've ever felt, add that all together, but then take that and make that be a demon projecting that towards you. And the reason I say this, if you don't believe in demons, you don't have to. People that are non-Christian have sleep paralysis too. You can make it whatever energy or whatever thing that you want to call it. But at the end of the day, take that and make it tangible, something that you can actually feel. And that is being projected towards you. So much anger, hatred, rage, or whatever those feelings, you know that there's another presence in the room. A lot of people, when they have sleep paralysis, a lot of people talk about that their eyes are closed.
Yeah.
Or some say that their eyes are open during the whole experience. I believe that, from what I've seen, because I've had a couple of 2 or 3 out-of-body experiences with my sleep paralysis. And during those times when I was having that, I could actually see myself laying down below on the bed or on the couch or wherever I ended up having the sleep paralysis. I could see my body there. Like it wasn't just like I'm having a dream and I'm dreaming of myself. It's like every single thing that is in the room, like if I went to sleep with a strand of hair across my face or there's a napkin on the floor, my dog's laying next to me, I can see everything that's going on in the room. I'm paralyzed, but I realize that I'm not dreaming right now. I realize that I'm mentally fully awake. And when you try to talk during sleep paralysis, you have it in your mind. Your mind is fully aware, and you are aware that there's another presence in the room. So at that point, like when you try to talk or try to get out of it or scream, and I don't know, like y'all this in the chat, y'all can kind of chime in on this, but the times that I've experienced it, it's almost like, and I don't want to say this, but it's for lack of a better word, it's kind of like maybe if you had a stroke or you are diabetic and you're going through one of those spells where your sugars dropped or it's spiked up and you start slurring speech, or you're kind of like, you're trying hard to get the words out, but whatever it is that has power over you at that moment it has power over your vocal cords too, apparently, because you're not able to verbalize and say what you want to say, even when you're trying to pray. And when you try to pray a lot of the times, especially like if you use the word Jesus and say Jesus, then it's going to try even harder to keep you from saying anything. And it may even get to attacking you a lot stronger during those time periods. Sometimes some entities or spirits that come along during sleep paralysis, some are stronger than others. Some are stronger than others to the point to where you're going to have to say a mighty prayer. You're going to have to like pray and ask God to send the angels down. Like some of them are way stronger than others. Some of them you'll pray and they'll disappear right away, immediately, as soon as you start praying. But then there's other times when there's ones that's a lot stronger that may laugh or mock at you or anything like that to try to make you feel that your prayers aren't working because they don't want you to pray. I feel like in some cases, I've heard a few people on some encounters that I've seen on shows through the years talk about the fact that they were, they felt like the entity that was on top of them during the sleep paralysis, holding them down, was trying to possess them. And I'm sure you probably heard some of those situations too.
I have. And like before you came on, I was describing a situation that I interviewed a gentleman from here where I live in Campeche. And they were talking about this creature came through the window and stuck its appendage or arm into their mouth and was like trying to get inside of them and was choking them. Now, this person, the girlfriend, was sleeping beside them and was woken up to see her boyfriend sitting up in bed like this and choking and literally choking right there. So yeah, that's a hallucination science. That's all it is, just a hallucination. This isn't really happening.
It's really happening because there's like what you just experienced there, explained there is just one example of how I say that sometimes the person that's in the bed with you, whether it's your brother, sister, husband, wife, significant other, sometimes they can wake up during your sleep paralysis and look over and see what's actually in the room or what's holding you down. There's plenty of cases like that. There's a few on Paranormal Witness like that. A man actually ended up starting to do video recordings in his bedroom at night because there was this hag that would come to him every night and hold him down. But she would always start off as a beautiful woman. But one night during the sleep paralysis, it showed its face and it was this ugly hag. And I think what people don't realize too, with sleep paralysis, and now I've never experienced this, but there's times when people who have sleep paralysis that have actually dealt with an incubus or succubus spirit. I don't know if the audience knows what that is. An incubus is a male spirit that comes and has sex basically with women, and then you have the succubus, and that is another demonic spirit or energy, whatever you want to call it, that comes into men. So you have those situations. There was a movie like that back in the day. I think it was called The Incubus that came out. And I don't know if that was the 80s or 90s, what year The Incubus came out, but a lot of people have these situations go on. Also with sleep paralysis, you also, and it's not the same for everybody. Majority of the time, one of the other tenets that's one of the main things with sleep paralysis is, I think other than one time, like majority of the time that I've ever had them, I'm always laying on my back. And I don't know what it is about that, but laying on your back is one of the main positions you'll get that in. Mostly at night is when most of mine happen, but I've heard people who've had them in the daytime too. Now, when you have these sleep paralysis situations, it's terrifying because for one, it's nighttime, it's dark in the room, you're aware that there's something else in there, and that you're aware that you can't do anything about it. Now, sometimes, like I said, the entities will be invisible. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes you'll see what's in there. Sometimes it may be a few inches away from your face, and sometimes it might be up on the ceiling, in the doorway, or on the other side of the room or whatever across from you, and you're just sitting there observing this. Marquetta said she thinks it's Job 4:13-16, and Marquetta, I'm gonna read that out later. I'll pull that up. Thank you for looking that up. Job 4:13-16. What I want to say is that sometimes when you wake up during that, if you wake up and you see what's in the room, then you're going to be even more terrified. But I always say, like, I've always noticed that during mine, the couple of times, the 2 or 3 times that I've had the out of body experience with it, and I could see my body laying there on the couch, I also noticed that I could feel that energy in the room. It's been only one time during an out of body experience did I actually see at the same time while my spirit, and I don't know how to explain. Well, I'm going to explain it like this. I fall asleep and I hadn't watched a scary movie. I'm not thinking about anything scary or anything like that. I end up falling asleep. Sleep paralysis happens, takes place. I'm aware that there's something not right. I can't move. I feel another energy in the room and it feels evil. So the next thing I notice is that I can see myself laying on the couch below. I mean, but before I could see myself laying, not on the couch, on the bed, I was in the bedroom. I could see myself laying in the bed, but I wasn't, and it wasn't right away because right before that, I realized, okay, I'm stuck in sleep paralysis. I can't get out of it. At this point, I've been having it for over 20 years, so I already knew what it was. But I realized I'm stuck in sleep paralysis. And then the next thing I realized is that now I'm no longer in my body. My spirit is up here hovering on the ceiling, and I'm disembodied. My spirit is at the ceiling with my back to the ceiling. I'm looking down at my body. A few minutes later, I don't even think it was a few minutes, just as soon as I realized my spirit's hovering up there at the ceiling, I'm like, just like on a Freddy Krueger movie, Nightmare on Elm Street movie, like you're telling yourself, wake up, get up, because I know that there's another spirit. And at this point, this was the first time we're having an out of body experience with that I actually saw what was in the room. So I'm hovering at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And y'all heard of for y'all horror movie buffs out there, have y'all seen The Grudge? Any of y'all have seen The Grudge? Or this is a better example, not The Grudge. If y'all have never seen the movie 13 Ghosts, and I've talked about this before on my show, if you've never seen 13 Ghosts, go and Google 13 Ghosts images of the jackal. Y'all hadn't seen it, Ryan? You might even want to look this thing up. This is what I saw.
You know what? I'm going to bring it up.
The jackal, 13 Ghosts.
The jackal. Okay, give me a second here.
Okay, because I want them to see this before I go too far.
Is that the one with the box on its head?
Yes.
Okay,
but,
give me a second here. Yeah. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah, you keep talking. I'm just going to. So
I see that, and I look straight ahead. Yeah, they said that Marquetta, she's seen 13 Ghosts. So I look straight ahead, and like I looked. I'm not even looking at my body now. Like I just kind of look straight ahead in front of me, and directly a couple of inches away from my face, I'm looking at the jackal. I'm looking at that thing, but without the cage around its head. It was just like a few, I don't even know to say, a few inches away from my face. It was hovering away from my face. It was staring at me. And it had this elongated evil grin. And just like the jackal on that movie, it had those sharp, jagged teeth. And it was grinning from ear to ear, like if you just took, you know, how you see on those scary movies, like the Joker and stuff like that. Its mouth was elongated like that. It had that same black scraggly, hair. It had that pale skin. And for the very first time in all the years that I've had sleep paralysis, for the very first time in all those years, this was the first time that one of those entities, that was what was hovering at the ceiling with me that night, but it didn't have the cage around its head. And oh my God, I hate looking at that.
All right, we'll just we'll take that off then.
Oh my God, that's terrifying, because that was one of the most terrifying moments that I've ever had with sleep paralysis, because that night was the first time that during sleep paralysis, an entity during sleep paralysis ever spoke to me in real time. And while I was hovering up there.
And okay, here's a question. Was it speaking to your astral self, or was it speaking to your physical self?
Its spirit was just a few inches away from my face. We're like nose to nose.
So like not your not your physical self, like your spirit up in the ceiling. It was right next to you.
Yeah, so you got the good spirit, I guess me, like in the back. Both of our spirits was hovering up there on the ceiling, and with our back to it, and back to the ceiling, looking like straight down. But I didn't want to look down at my body anymore. And now I'm trying to survey the room and see, okay, what's in here? Because I know that sleep paralysis entities have the ability to remove you out of your body for whatever reason. And so that's the first time that I was able to see one that actually. That wasn't the first time I seen one manifest. That was just the first time I seen one while my spirit was out of my body. and it had this grin on its face. An evil grin. It had those sharp, jagged teeth, the black, scraggly hair. It didn't have the cage around its head, but I just wanted y'all to get a visual of what it looked like. And at that moment, knowing that from one thing that happened before I started to pray, it was taking my spirit and it was dragging it from one end of the ceiling to the other in the bedroom, just back and forth. And then it would take my spirit and it would throw it down on the bed, like down to where my body was, and then it would drag it back up. And I remember that particular night, the ceiling fan was on, and I started thinking, please, God. I don't know why I thought this because I'm a spirit, but I thought in my mind, please don't let that ceiling fan chop me up tonight. And I said, please don't, because I thought it was going to chop me up. And I don't know why that even crossed my mind, but it did. But at that same time, like it kept dragging me back and forth. So I started praying and I started doing the Lord's Prayer. And every prayer that I could possibly think of that was spiritual warfare prayers to try to get this thing to let me loose. Because at this point, this had never happened before. I never had a spirit that actually showed itself and was toe to toe with me like that. I start praying. And as I start praying, this is my spirit praying. As my spirit is praying up there, this thing, any speech that happened between me and this thing was all telepathic. It wasn't verbal, like I was moving my mouth or it was moving. It was telepathic. But I started praying, and as I started to pray, this thing basically took completely over my vocal cords and started mocking my prayer. It started praying, but in that, if you've seen scary movies, and I don't like to talk about certain stuff because I've got some things that have happened here. So I don't like to talk about certain stuff because I know that sometimes, and that's why
you kind of give it power by doing that.
Yeah, and I don't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it took a lot for me to come out with this tonight. So I won't be doing too many of these. But when at that point, I'm trying to remember, what did I leave off? I was telling you about.
It was mocking took over your vocal cords. Was mocking the Lord's Prayer.
Cords, and it took over the Lord's Prayer. But if y'all have ever seen any scary demonic possession movies, you know how it has that deep, bassy, guttural, growly type voice where it's talking in that demonic voice, and it's talking like that. And when it gets to talking like that, then it's saying the prayer, but not in a sincere way. It's saying it in a mocking way. And then it starts to go blah, blah, blah. And then it told me, you ain't got no power. You ain't got no power. And when it said that, I knew why it was saying that. I knew that there was things like that. There's things that you can do in your life that will sometimes invite them in, or you're not living your life right like you're supposed to be living it, or in a sinful life or whatever, just doing just random stuff, no matter what that is, and that can drag them in a lot of the time. So I knew what it was talking about. I knew why it said that, and I knew when my sleep paralysis started 20 years ago, I knew why it started at that time. It was because I had renounced God at that time in my life, which I've come back to God since then. But I knew why it started, because it started not too long after that. But the thing told me, I ain't got no power. It said, I'm this close to getting your soul. It said, I'm this close to getting your soul.
Oh, shit.
And so when I woke up from, I don't know how or when or what happened, but I know that I started praying. Oh, Lord Jesus, there he goes. I hate this. Whenever I talk about this stuff, this always happens. There's some things going on over there on the other side of the room. Hold on. I'm not, I swear to God, y'all, I'm not trying to be creepy right now. Like, there's actually something going on over there. And this happens every time I talk about this kind of stuff. So what I want to say is that when it comes down to it, like, you have to like hold your ground. You have to like try to, I'm trying not to focus on that. You have to try to basically let them know, like, hey, I understand. Like, at the end of the day, people don't realize you're a spirit too. We're human beings. We're flesh and blood. But at the same time, like, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So a lot of times what people don't realize is that when you have sleep paralysis, you might wonder, why am I aware that there's another presence in the room before I ever see anything? It's because you are a spirit, and your spirit makes you aware that there's another spirit in the room. If y'all doubt this, then think about just the times this is as a human being, your spirit, you're laying there on the couch and somebody is walked in the room and they're standing over you long enough, you can feel that energy. You can feel somebody staring at you on the other side of the room. Your spirit is aware of that. And that's why, even when you cannot verbally with your physical body pray during sleep paralysis, your spirit can still pray. And that's why they still leave, because you are your spirit first. We just have flesh and blood. And that's why you have what they call disembodied spirit. They lack flesh and blood as we have. But when you leave your body and you're having an out of body experience, or you're astral projecting or anything, at that moment, you are now a disembodied spirit. And if you go away from your body for too long while you're in that astral realm, there's a chance you might not get back if that silver cord is severed. And if y'all doubt that, there's a movie called Insidious, and it's a horror movie, but at the same time, like, that is a real situation that actually happens to people more than you know. And it's not just in the United States, it's several cultures all throughout the world. Y'all, do y'all have any, Rod, did you have anything you want to ask me before I keep going on about that?
Well, it's really, really intriguing. So I've had actually an experience, but this, I'm waffling between, was it sleep paralysis or was it just a shadow being in my room? But I can let you continue, and we can we can jump onto that later. Okay. But I think I'd like to go over that, you know, because it's something to this day I still battle with. I'm like, because I was in a position where I said that I was scared stiff, that I couldn't move because I was so scared. Now, maybe that was me rationalizing that I actually was in sleep paralysis, and I woke up to a demon floating over top of me, or a shadow being floating over top of me with red glowing eyes. You know, this was something that, this was probably one of the events that you know, directed my life, that caused me to take this path that I did.
I'm just sharing this in the group and letting them know about this. And if y'all are out there in the chat right now, y'all make sure y'all share this live with everybody. Y'all make sure y'all go back out and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it in your paranormal groups, on your personal pages or whatever, because a lot of people go through this and don't know what to do about it. You have authority and power over the situation, and they will leave you alone. Some people have talked about the fact that if all they can do is just move their pinky finger, or they can move their eyes a little bit, they can break themselves out of the paralysis. Yes. You can come out of it anyway. But if you are willfully trying to get out there, lucid dreaming is another thing. There's people who got channels on YouTube that try to teach or train people specifically how to astral project, how to lucid dream, how to, you don't want to do that. I mean, because what people don't realize with the astral projection is that fact that when you're a spirit and you're outside of your body, there's other spirits. Your body is vulnerable. Your flesh and blood is vulnerable at that point. Another spirit can easily come in and take over your body while you're out of it. Number one.
Exactly. Like when you're talking about disembodied spirits, these are spirits that at one time did have a body, but they cannot rise. You know, they cannot ascend to heaven. They are stuck here, and they are looking for things or people to possess.
Exactly. And, you know, not only that, I'm just telling them, come over and join us. But not only that, Ra, you also have that aspect of having something to come over and take over your body, which was one of the things that was happening in that movie Insidious. If y'all hadn't seen it, check it out. And
I have not.
You got to see it, because this movie is, it had actually a shadow type person or demon in that movie. People see different things during sleep paralysis. Some see a demon. Some see the old hag. Some people see imps in the room. Some people see a shadow man or a hat man. Some people see have sleep paralysis when they're going through an alien abduction experience as well. They're not able to move, but they're able to do things that they normally wouldn't be able to do. Being transported from your bedroom during abduction through the window, or straight through the window, or through the roof of the house or whatever, when that should not be possible to do. And I feel like, you know, the reason for that is because now you're not in, even though you are originally in your bedroom, and this is just my idea, my thoughts on this.
Yep.
Even though you were originally in your bedroom, now that you're in this spiritual form or whatever is going on with that, these things are able to either manipulate your body in some type of way to where you are now in some type of interdimensional realm where they're able to take you through. I don't know how that works with the abduction, but I will say that I will put aliens or whatever to whatever degree in that category of other entities or beings that you could see during
Agreed.
sleep paralysis. And they all have that same ability. They all speak, the majority of the time, telepathically. They can plant thoughts in your head and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the reasons that I was saying before, Tammy Johnson said Insidious is scary. It's terrifying. And imagine living that in real life. And then when you realize that this is not normal, this is not normal. And the scientific community's explanation for it being hallucinations, the reason that that doesn't fit for me, your body's shutting itself down so that you don't hurt yourself while you sleep. Well, how is it that when you got to get up in the middle of the night because you got to go pee, you can get up for that? Or you're having a regular nightmare, you can get up for that. Or you hear somebody knocking at the door, you hear something loud, you can wake up for that. But sleep paralysis, you can't. And why is it so terrifying majority of the time? So there's several factors to it. In addition to the fact, another reason I say that it's more than what they're telling us is because the fact that, like you were saying before, did you say somebody's wife or husband looked over and they saw?
Yeah, they didn't see the creature or the being, but they saw their boyfriend being choked, like being like with his mouth open and gagging, unable to breathe. Yes.
Well, my ex-husband, back when I was still married, like he woke up one night during one of the times I was having a sleep paralysis episode, and he said that I didn't know what was going on. I woke up that night, and I woke up to him standing over me, and he had a bottle of olive oil, and he had a crucifix, and he had put like the oil, and he made like a cross on my forehead, and I wake up, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "You was over there making all kind of strange noises and stuff like that. And I tried to wake you up, but I couldn't wake you up. And then when I looked over there, he said there was this brown, I don't know how to explain it. He said, I don't know how to call this. He said it was like this brown thing that was over there, but he said it was kind of furry, but it wasn't furry. It was almost like how you get that static on the TV or something like that.
Okay.
Back in the day when the TV used to cut off after the news went off at the end of the night, like 9, 10 o'clock at night, the whole TV shut down. So you had that, I don't know what you call that. Not white noise.
Like static.
Yeah. He said that was over there standing next to you on the side of the bed. He said, so I got up and I went to Walmart and I got some olive oil and a crucifix.
So he went to Walmart?
He went to Walmart while I was sleeping while I was having the sleep paralysis episode, I guess. And he went to go get
I'll see you later. I'll be back. Yeah.
Yes. He went to go get some olive oil and a crucifix, and he was painting the oil on my head. I'm like, what are you doing? But that's what he saw that. Now, outside of that, there's other people who saw stuff in the room as well. Other weird things. Some people have paranormal activity going on in their home on a regular basis at the same time or on a regular basis, and they have sleep paralysis. And it's, to me, I feel like the same spirits that are in there.
Connected.
And it's connected. Now, you have people who will wake up out of their sleep, come out of their sleep paralysis with choke marks around their neck, bruises in between their thighs, bite marks, scratches. And sometimes you'll wake up out of your sleep paralysis when you're able to get back into your body. You will wake up and look around the room and see that that there's actually, how do I say this? You'll wake up and see that there's actually whatever you were experiencing in that sleep paralysis before you would be able to get back to your body. You will see that thing still there in the room. So that's what I wanted to say about sleep paralysis. It's more than what they tell you. I don't know if you wanted to read some of the people's comments in the chat, see what they think about it and what they've experienced. I've got more experience that I could share on that, but did you have anything that you wanted to?
Yeah, we can see, like Tammy Johnson. I had 2 experiences years back in the house. Don't know if it was sleep paralysis, but it was like a demon standing over me. I just kept praying. It finally left. Yeah, it's like you know what? I might as well go into my story there, my experience. So I I come home late. I was about 17, 18 years old. I come home late. I wasn't drinking or anything, and I always have to make sure I state that because people will always be like, "Oh, you had some drinks. Okay, that's why that you saw that." And I had to work early in the morning, and I was lying in bed, and I remember staring at the clock and just being like, man, if I fall asleep now, well, I'm going to get like 6.5 hours of sleep. Oh, if I fall asleep now, it's going to be like 5 hours of sleep. And it was at that point where I felt like I had to roll onto my back and look up, like something was telling me to do this. So I remember like rolling onto my back and looking up, and that's when I saw this blacker than black creature, and I could see the head, I could see the shoulders, the torso.
Hmm.
Around the torso area below that, it went into like a wispy smoke. It actually changed into like a white smoke. I could see the arms up to about this point, but the arms were by the side, and they went into the wispy smoke as well. So I don't know if it was like manifesting going down like this point. And the eyes, though, the eyes were a glowing red, and it
Hmm.
wasn't like a flashlight. It was kind of like my mic light. Like I have a red light on my mic here,
Yeah.
and it was like that. So it was this incandescent red glow. It wasn't like it was like shooting lasers or anything like that. But I saw this laying there. Now, I mean, saw this above me, and it was about a foot above. No, not a foot. Sorry, it was about 2.5, 3 feet above me,
Hmm.
and I laid there and I could not move. I could not move. Now, I attributed that to being scared stiff, where I just was too scared to move. So I laid there, didn't move. I don't know how long that this creature, this thing was there. The next thing I know, I was waking up to my alarm in the morning. And that
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go on that. Will you leave Tammy's comment up for a second? But I want
Okay.
to just tell y'all too about my very first ever um, sleep paralysis experience, and I'm gonna say this was had to have been around 2003 or 2004, somewhere around that time period.
Mhm.
And at that point, I had never heard, I've heard of sleep paralysis before, but not called sleep paralysis. I remember back when I was like 13 or 14 and I was spending the night with one of my girlfriends for the weekend. She had asked me just randomly out of the blue. She said, "Has the witch ever rode your back?" I said, "The what?" She said,
What?
"The witch ever rode your back?" And it was so stupid and ridiculous to me. I was like, okay, what? She told me is when you're laying on your back at night and you're laying in the bed and something is holding you down and you can't get up, you can't move, you can't do anything at all, and there's something holding you down. And I'd never experienced that. I just thought it sounded weird. So I was like, okay, whatever. That was 13 or 14 at the time. So fast forward to 2023, 2024, not 2020, 2003, 2004.
Okay.
This would be the night that I had the first sleep paralysis experience ever. And I'm going to tell you why, again, sleep paralysis is not, beyond a shadow of a doubt, why it's not a hallucination. So on this night, I'm still at that point. I'm like 21, 22 years old, still staying at home, mom and daddy. Everybody's in the house is going to bed for the night. I'm laying up front on the couch like I'm watching TV. Like, just sometimes you're just lazy and just don't feel like getting them going to bed, especially if you're comfortable on the couch. It's
Hmm.
winter time. Like I remember what I had on. I had on a t-shirt and I had some sweatpants on. I had one, and I'm telling you these details because it's gonna make sense later. Like I had one pants leg of those sweatpants pulled up to the knee, and the other one was all the way down. And I had like a quilt like over me, like because it was the wintertime. So the quilt was kind of just shoveled at the bottom of my legs, and I had like one strand going of hair going across my face. Usually, when you dream about yourself, you don't dream about those kind of details.
It's very, yeah, very detailed. Yes,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
you don't dream about those kind of details. You don't see that cup that's on the table, that napkin that you don't even realize that's on the floor that you dropped when you were eating earlier. Little things like that. We didn't have any dogs or cats in the house, no pets or anything like that. So that night before I went to sleep, it's late, probably like 10 or 11 o'clock, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I start hearing um scratching on the wall. And it was very distinct because back in that, mom and daddy had that old paneling wall for the longest time before they finally got rid of that. But they
Okay.
had that. So if you remember those old paneling walls from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that fake
Yeah.
wood that was like not even like the fake wood today.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
homes, but it was garbage. And you even had those in trailers. I heard scratching noises on the wall. And so I'm trying to rationalize it. I just keep laying there because I'm like, okay, well, you hearing things. Then the second time I hear it, it's like, but long fingernails. And it keeps doing that. And I'm not knowing what to make of it. I don't know what to think. We don't have any cats or dogs in the house. Then I'm thinking, well, maybe, and this is stupid, but I thought, well, maybe that's like the refrigerator, like buzzing or some kind of electrical noise from TV, whatever. And it kept
Because
going so
you're trying to
long.
Yeah, you're trying to rationalize it.
Yeah, trying to rationalize it, but it kept going so long. And as it kept going, and I'm trying to rationalize it, then that rationalization is getting thrown out the window because now I'm scared. Like I know that that doesn't make sense. So then I decide, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk over there to that side of the wall where that is right now and see if I see, maybe a rat's over there trying to crawl up the wall, or maybe one of
Yeah.
those huge beetles that they had, those big ones. Because every now and then when they're crawling around like that, I remember those big, I don't know what you call those. They're big black beetle. They used to have a horn in the, or I don't know, kind of like a
Okay.
rhinoceros. I remember those when I was a kid.
Yep. Yep.
So they would make a lot of noise if they got in the house, like if they're crawling around on the wood floors or the linoleum, you could hear that. And so I walk over there. There's nothing, I can't make sense of. There's nothing over there at all. And so I finally just kind of go back to the couch and just keep laying there. And I'm still scared, but finally I fall asleep. When I fall asleep, I haven't thought anything else about it. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, now what starts to happen next is I start dreaming, or I start falling asleep. I start dreaming, and I can't tell you any details about the dream now. Yes, masochist mouse. Yes, stag beetle.
There we go.
Maybe basically, I thought maybe that was a possibility,
Mhm.
but I fell asleep, and those same noises that I was hearing right before I went to sleep now are going over into the sleep paralysis. But except for I didn't realize I never had sleep paralysis before. So at that moment, I realized now this is carrying over into this dream. It's scratching. I can't make sense of it. And then all of a sudden, as it keeps scratching, I'm laying on the couch last night. And like the coffee tables in front of the couch, they had hardwood floors. And there it goes again. I don't like it. I get scared of talking about this kind of stuff, but I'm gonna just do it and brave it tonight and pray. So this night, I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm trying to think, like, what do I do? How do I get it? I'm aware. I can feel it. There's a presence in the room. It's evil, like the worst rage and hatred, like something that is the worst. I don't even, words that I'm trying to give y'all right now to describe this are not sufficient for the feeling. But I knew that you're gonna die. You're going to die. Something is in here. I can feel it. And whenever I know where it is, when I know, like I know exactly, your spirit knows exactly where that spirit is in the room, even if it's invisible. You know where to look. You know where it is. Yeah. And I'm like, this is an invisible spirit. But as I'm thinking and I'm hearing those scratches and I'm laying on the couch, the next thing that's happening, let me power my phone off. It's about to die.
Yeah, no problem.
The next
right at like the climatic spot. You're like, I gotta turn off my phone. It's like shit.
It's about to die. Like it's draining my battery. So as this is happening, I'm sitting up there and I'm thinking, like, okay, now not only am I hearing the scratching, now I feel an energy. I feel something that is, it resonates. Like the person Peace Frog said, pure malice. Pure malice. I feel it. It's more than I can even express. And I start to realize I don't like this dream. I'm going to wake up. I didn't realize it wasn't a regular dream. I'm going to get up. I don't like this. That's when I realized I couldn't move. I can't scream. I can't get up. There's nothing I can do about this. And at that moment, when I realized there was nothing I could do about it, guess what happened next? The next thing that happened was that now I'm laying on the couch. I can't move. At the same time, now I realize I can see myself laying on the couch. This is the first time. This is the first sleep paralysis experience ever. Not only can I see myself sleeping on the couch, is because now I realize my spirit was up there on the ceiling looking down at my body down there. And every detail that I gave y'all of how I was laying on the couch, the hair, everything, it was all as it was like before I went to sleep. But my spirit is screaming and telling my body, wake up, because now not only was it the scratching noises and that fear of the presence that was in the room, now to make matters even worse, now I hear footsteps running around the coffee table from the end of the coffee table where my feet are at the end of the couch, like from that end, running around the coffee table. And I know, because my spirit, I guess my mind or my spirit is talking to itself. And I'm like, you've got to wake up, because when that thing gets over here, it's going to choke you. I'm praying, I'm screaming at my body, get up, wake up, wake up. I don't know how to get back in it. And this has never happened before. And so at that moment, when the thing got over there, it was invisible. I'd never seen this entity. When it got to me, exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. It started grabbing me by my neck and it was choking me. And I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I promise y'all don't realize what kind of stuff I've experienced. But when I prayed and when I basically, no, I didn't pray that night. I didn't know to pray. I had already renounced God at that point because I was angry with God because of the death of my cousin. So I didn't know. I just didn't know what was going on. So here's the kicker. Hold on.
Something going on.
My door just opened and closed by itself.
What?
Yeah. Oh my God. Jesus, protect me. Protect me. Don't let it come. So I'm going to finish telling y'all about this. But hold on just a second. Let me cut this off for just a minute. I'm still here. I'm just cutting the camera off for a sec. But I'm going to say this to y'all real quick. So this thing is running around the coffee table. When it gets around the coffee table, it grabs me by my neck and starts choking. Now I'm seeing my body down there. I'm not seeing my physical body in any distress, but I'm aware and I can feel it. Even though my spirit's out of my body, I cannot explain to you why I could feel that thing choking my neck, but I could. So at that same time, I'm thinking, like, I'm getting ready to die right now. Like, there's nothing, I don't know what to do about this. I know I'm getting ready to die. The next thing that happens, and I'm going to tell y'all, do y'all remember, y'all in the audience or whatever, do y'all remember back in the day, like on those old Western movies when they had those saloon doors that when you get ready to go in the saloon, they swing back and forth open?
Yes.
Mom and Daddy had those saloon doors and that separated the den. We call it the great room now, but back then it was called the den. You separated from den from the kitchen. The next thing that happens, my dad worked in Delphi back in the day, so he worked first shift. And so he had to get up and be at work like 3 or 4 o'clock that morning. Maybe later than that. I don't know what, because I know Daddy came in the room. My spirit's still on the ceiling. Daddy came in the room. So I saw him. My spirit saw him from up there. My physical body is still laying on the couch, eyes closed. Daddy came in the room and he said, Tina, time to get up. You got to go to work. When Daddy came in there and said that, it took a few seconds, but that thing finally released my neck. And it took me a few minutes still for my spirit to come back to my body. Wow. My spirit came back to my body. I sat up on the side of the couch for a few minutes and I just sat there and I sat there for a few minutes and just thought, what the hell just happened to me? I knew that wasn't a regular dream. I knew it wasn't a regular dream. I couldn't end it. I couldn't get out of it. The same noises that were happening before I went to sleep that night continued on over into the sleep paralysis, which I didn't know what that was either at that time. I didn't know. But my dad came in there and my mind cannot compute this. And so I'm telling myself, you're crazy. But then I was like, hold on. You just saw your dad walk in the room. He had on a red t-shirt. Go back there. Because after Daddy came up there to tell me to get up, he went back to his room and continued to whatever he was doing back there before he got ready to leave the house. I went back there and knocked on the bedroom door. Oh my God, Marquetta. I'm going to respond to you in a second, Marquetta. But so I went back there and knocked on the door. When I knocked on the door, that's when Daddy opened the door and all the blood just ran cold in my body. Daddy came to the door in that red t-shirt. And I said, Daddy, and I'm getting, calm down, Chanel. No, don't do that. Please calm down. Calm down. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Don't be scared. It's okay. Lord have mercy. Daddy came to the door, and I said, Daddy, did you just come up there and tell me to get up? Because he said, yeah, because you oversleeping and you need to get up. You got to go to work.
Yeah.
At that moment, my blood ran cold because I knew at that moment I just had an out of body experience, and there was a demon or some kind of weird spirit in the room that just attacked me.
Yep.
Is this going to happen again? And can it kill me? Apparently, it can put hands on me. It choked me. So, did y'all? Oh, Marquetta said, "What is that tapping noise?" Marquetta, I don't hear any tapping noise, but
No, I think she's talking about Marquetta. Were you talking about in the dream when there was the tapping and the scratching? Is that maybe what she was talking about?
I don't know, Marquetta. Also, if that's what you're saying, or let me know if you're talking about you hear some tapping noises in my background. I had to turn my camera off for a second because I know my eyes are kind of darting all over the place right now, and I'm kind of getting weirded out. I'll be back on camera with y'all in a minute, but I just needed to calm down a little bit.
No
And I
problem.
don't know if y'all heard my dog growling and barking, but she sensed something too. And I was telling y'all that my bedroom door just closed and opened on its own.
I actually didn't hear your dog barking or growling, but nonetheless, animals have a their senses that they can see further into the light spectrum than we can, so they can see things that we can't. So it's
Right. Marquetta says she heard the tapping in the background.
oh shit.
I don't know, Marquetta, but I know right now the air conditioning is not on in here at all. And I don't know what you call that wand or the stick that's on the vertical. Is it not? Is it vertical?
Your
Horizontal.
vertical your blinds like the
Yeah, horizontal mini blinds, and it's just swinging back and forth. What's wrong? It's okay. Did you hear that bark?
yeah, I heard that. I thought that was like a bang on your table or something.
No, that's my dog barking. She's looking down there where that's
Jeez.
happening. And this is why I don't do too many shows like this, because I know that for whatever reason I'm sensitive and I'm able to, for whatever reason, I haven't even gotten into the one thing right now. I'm kind of, because of what's happening right now in here, I kind of really don't even want to talk about the other thing.
Then don't. Then we don't have to right now. You know, we can change it up a little bit. Have you ever talked to Vicky Joy?
Vicky Joy. No, I think, were you talking about her earlier before I came on?
Yes, I was. She's written a book. She's suffered with sleep paralysis all her life as well, and she's written a book. I think it's like They Come Out at Night is actually what her book is. And one of your or one of our viewers here was reading it. Might have been Seesaw. I'm not 100% sure, but they've been reading her book. I'm having her back on. Maybe you come on. You, me, and her will do an interview together because I have her scheduled. I don't know when it is, but it's coming up soon. It might be interesting to have a conversation, or you can talk to her yourself as well. You know, you don't.
I would love to. I do. I don't know how long you do your shows. I mean, I can keep going. There's more stuff that I would like to share and talk about.
I usually go about
two. Maybe a lot of people.
For my lives, I usually go 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got more than enough time. If you're feeling good and safe, then let's go ahead. But if you don't, I don't want you to be pressured into doing something that that you don't feel safe doing.
And like I said, I mean, so Smurfy said, I bind and rebuke it in Jesus' name. I command it to flee and go straight into the abyss. And I do the same thing, Smurfy. Sometimes some of the spirits are just a lot stronger than others, and it takes a little bit longer sometimes to get them to go. And it depends also what you got going on in your life.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tammy. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to pray too. Soon as the show is over with, and I prayed a few minutes ago, and I'm not trying to make this a religious show. Some people feel a type of way about that kind of stuff. They don't want you to talk about it, but nobody ever has a problem when it's some other religion outside of Christianity. And so I have a problem with that. That wand or whatever on the mini blinds is stopped, or was at a slow rock now, and it just went from fast like a pendulum to nothing at all. And it'll start back probably in a few minutes. Chanel is down there in the living room now, walking around, feeling whatever's going on down there, and she's kind of weirded out. But I do want to say, outside of that, when you have sleep paralysis going on in your room, you have control over it. You can pray and get it to leave. It's not something to embrace like some people feel like, well, you can turn it into a lucid dream and turn it however you want it to. One other thing I wanted to say about astral projection is that some people will try to take advantage of the fact that they know how to astral project, whether they learn that just through going through sleep paralysis experience with the out of body experience that comes with those sometimes, or whether that's just something where they're involved in the occult practitioners sometimes to practice that on a regular basis and are able to go into people's homes. And sometimes even from what I've heard from the higher level witch doctors and babalawos and shamans and stuff, they will talk about the fact that they're able to transform themselves into an animal form, whether that is a mouse or a rat or any other thing that they can come into
Black
your house.
dog. Yeah.
Black dog, all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know what to attribute it to. I've always had sensitivity to having dreams and being able to see certain things or hear certain things, or I've always been like that. And I think a lot of people, what people don't realize, I had my first dogman encounter in 2013. A lot of people who've had dogman or cryptid sightings, Bigfoot, dogman, or anything like that they've seen before, majority of the time they've also either got paranormal activity in their home, or they've also had some kind of encounter or a UFO sighting or some type of alien or other type of paranormal activity going on. And what they call that, I don't know, the hitchhiker effect. I think that's when things follow you back home.
That's when things follow you home. Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
You can get that as a paranormal investigator.
If I recall, I think Brandy from Blondes and Booze talks about that she has a hitchhiker.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott Carpenter, I interviewed him on the show a few times, and a few other people I've interviewed on, and I think one of the reasons Scott Carpenter had said that he had stopped doing as many, going out into the field as much as he used to, was because those entities were following him back home. And paranormal activity starts happening in the house, or you start having dreams. And what people don't realize is that when I call this stuff things that go bump in the night, it's because it's not just sleep paralysis. People have night terrors. When your kid tells you that there's a monster under the bed or there's something in the closet, believe them. I mean, they're just not just going to make that up.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I actually, I had a friend who died from an overdose. He came to visit he came to visit me and was like tormenting my daughter. I don't think on purpose, but yeah, she described him to me, and it was I knew it was him. And I'm like, you need to go, Barry. Time to go to the light, buddy.
Well, Rod, that they say a lot of times kids and animals can see things that a lot of time we can't see. And
one of those reasons, one of those reasons that they do, and it gets turned off, is because the adults in the life, they're like, no, that's not real. You're not actually seeing that. So they're, causing them to switch that off. We're causing the disconnect, and I find it a difficult thing to do on how to deal with my daughter with it, because my daughter is terrified at times because she's very sensitive. And I really have to work on how I talk to her about it, because I don't want her to be scared. I got to give her the power. I have to empower her, but I don't want her to know that that's nothing, but it is something, and you have to know how to deal with it.
Yeah. And what I never understood was, why would a Christian have to deal with sleep paralysis? But it's not just a religious, certain, different religious sect thing. Like people throughout all type of different religions and cultures have experienced this. In the Haman culture, there was, I think, a situation, like, I don't know if this was 60s, 70s, or 80s, but where a lot of them were dying in their sleep. And they had this thing in their village where it was one of those things where they didn't talk about it. There's plenty of movies out there. Y'all check out. There's, I think it might be on Tubi or Peacock, but there's a documentary called The Nightmare. Watch that. Because now where people think about sleepwalking and stuff like that, what people don't realize about the night realm or sleep or dreams is that, and this is just my opinion or my experience and what I know from talking to several people, researching my own personal experiences, is that when you go to sleep at night and you have dreams, you are in another realm. You're in another dimension. The sleep
Yep.
realm, the dream realm, that's real. The astral realm, that's real, is probably more real than our reality. There's things that in your day-to-day life, unless you have in Christianity, we call it discernment of spirits, being able to see spirits. But in the more secular or the New Age world, they would call that you're a seer or you're clairvoyant. You can see things, clairaudient, you can hear things. So either way, you have that, for lack of a better word, third eye open. You can see things that maybe sometimes other people can't see. So you have people out there who we look at every day that you see them walking up and down the street. And yes, I do believe that drug addiction can make you hallucinate and can make you have different experiences with that.
Yeah, I think it's hallucinating, but I also think it's opening, forcing a door open that maybe you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Yes, and I can hear your dog barking.
She's looking over there and she's upset. So when it comes down to it, like, yeah, I do think maybe there's times when they're tripping on some bad acid or something like that. But I also feel that the other possibility is that you have shamans or witch doctors or whatever you want to call it, like medicine men who actually will take peyote or ayahuasca, or in today like salvia or DMT, in order to have a spiritual or supernatural experience, to take them to another dimension. And that was done by shamans and medicine men in order to be able to converse with or communicate with their spirits or their spirit guides. So those are gateway drugs, drugs that are that puts you on a whole nother level of consciousness that you're not able to perceive. So I feel like some of the times when these people are high and they're seeing different things, it's not a coincidence when you have these people, you see them walking up and down the street and they're talking to themselves. They're talking to somebody, they're having a whole conversation, they're answering. And maybe, like I said, if you don't believe it, then you don't have to believe it. They're just crazy and it's just drugs. Whatever you feel, then that's what it is for you. But I know that that is not something brand new. You got people who say, well, when you take this drug, you're going to see Smurfs in the room, or you're going to see certain elves, or you're going to see this, or you're going to see that. This is stuff that is actually out there. Just imagine if the veil was lifted off our eyes and we could all see what's around us on a regular basis.
We would go insane. We would go insane.
We would, because like that thing that I saw that night, that was the most terrifying thing that I've ever seen, ever. Now, that wasn't the first time. Now, people see during sleep paralysis what they call the old hag. And that's like usually an old lady that's kind of just in raggedy type clothes, pale skin, sometimes sharp, jagged teeth, black teeth every now and then, dark nails. And these things will sometimes like try to claw at your face. They do a lot of different stuff, but they will leave. Now, depending on what you have going on, if you're doing anything and you're practicing anything that has anything to do with the occult, then you are already giving them permission to be there. And you can't, they're not, you can, I don't even see how you have any power at that point to make them leave, because you've given them a doorway and opening to be there. Now, some people might say, well, I'm a Wiccan, or I only practice white magic. If you are a person who dabbles in the occult on any level, me as a Christian, in my personal belief, as a Christian, this is just me talking about my opinion on it, is that if the Bible tells you to not have anything to do with soothsayers and warlocks, necromancy is conversations with the dead, going to a medium or psychic in order to have them to come forth, to call forth your dead loved one, your grandma. The Bible calls that familiar spirits. So if you're open to that, tarot readings, Ouija boards, palm reading, horoscopes, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, like who doesn't want to have their horoscope read? Like, we're Christian, but at the same time, like, we've thought about this stuff, like you want to do it. But at the same time, if you do that, just know that you're opening a gateway or a doorway and giving them permission to be there.
Well, and because you don't know who's on the other side. You know, you could say, "Oh, I'm talking to my grandma." Well, a demon can know exactly what your grandma knows. You know, that they can know inside of you what what to say. They know these
Exactly.
things. They can pretend. They can masquerade. That's the word I'm looking for. They can masquerade as someone else, and you don't know who's truly on the other side. Especially with the Ouija board. That's
Hmm.
something when I was younger I messed with, and that's something I'll never do again. And the thing was with that Ouija board, it was before the shadow being over my bed. So I feel that there was stuff happening in our house, and I think the Ouija board, empowered this entity or entities that were in the house, and it did not help at all.
Oh no, absolutely not. And it's hard when you get to that stage to like try to get stuff like that to leave your house too. You have to get somebody in there a lot of times to come in and try to clean up those things. But then like bringing somebody that's more into like more the cult type of way
Yeah.
to remove those entities from the house. What a lot of people like to try to do is they will get somebody to come in and burn sage. If that's what you want to do, then more power to you. But I really don't feel like a lot of times with a lot of cases that I've heard of stuff like that, it didn't work. Somebody else has got to come back again and then more cleansing, and then the spirits now they're just subdued a little bit, but they're still there. Like they're not leaving, because then what people don't realize, and this information came from a website I was looking at online, where a lady was actually she was still a practicing witch, but she
Okay.
told that a lot of people like to burn sage and stuff like that to cleanse their house of negative energy
Hmm.
and spirits. But what they don't realize is that, and this is the witch that said this, she said, what they don't realize is that when you burn sage to remove a spirit from your home, she said the reason that the sage works, and if anybody's out there that's in the occult or witchcraft right now and you disagree with this, then take it up with this witch, because she said it. She said, when what people don't realize is that when you get um, to a point to where you're doing sage and burning sage in your home in order to get rid of a spirit, the reason that the way that works is that you're bringing in a positive energy, positive spirits or benevolent spirits to remove the malevolent spirits. She said, but what people do with that is the problem with that, she said, is that a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole nother ritual that you have to do after burning the sage to remove the spirits that you brought in to get rid of the bad ones. You got to do another spirit to shut that. You got to do another whole ritual to shut down what you brought in to remove the bad.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
she basically said that a lot of people are left with those spirits still in their home because they didn't shut it down. I feel like communicating with the spirits either way. I'm not bringing any other spirits except for maybe the Holy Spirit to
Yeah.
remove it, because anything else, that's the only time that's going to actually leave unless you've given it
Now,
permission to be there.
and I agree with you. I agree. Like be careful in who you bring in. But I believe that she is right, but she's also wrong, because that is what she is bringing in. Like you could bring in the Holy Spirit to cleanse your house, but and using sage at the same time. So in your definition, you don't need to get rid of the Holy Spirit at that point. Now, if she is using bringing in these other spirits to cleanse these other spirits, well, then yeah, she's replacing one for another, and at that point, then yes, it would be that. Like I don't know if you know my past. I actually I actually trained under a shaman for a couple of years and a medicine woman for about 5 to 6 years as well. So I do have this history. Now I've been moving away from a lot of like, and I was full into the new age, full into the occult, and really realizing, I would say, in the last couple of years that that's not my thing, and I've been reestablishing a relationship with God and Christ,
Mhm.
and reestablishing that, because I was born and raised Catholic, very very strict Catholic, and
Mhm.
uh, yeah, and it was, and I stepped away from it. I think a lot of us do that. We have experiences, and we walk away, but we come back, you know, more renewed than anything.
Absolutely. There's so many different layers to this. Now, Uncut Savage said, an astral projection, invasion of privacy can be easily done and not even realize it because you think it's just a dream after all, not anything else but a made-up world, even if you control it. You think it's I mean, I don't know if you're saying you think it's a made-up world, but like that, within certain cultures, like we don't, like the African culture, the Caribbean cultures and stuff like that, they are really in tune with what they call the marine kingdom, the spirit world, spirit spouses, also known as succubus and incubus spirits that come in at night. There's certain things that you shouldn't do in dreams. And this is told by ex-witches, also people who have discernment of spirit, and people who are on a deeper level that know how to act. Just so many different things to say about the sleep realm. One thing I want to say about it is that what I've learned from, I guess, the African people that I've dealt with and I've talked to about some of these things. I had to go get a procedure done a few years ago. We can get in that another time. I had to go get a deliverance because of something that happened. And we'll talk about that later. Maybe if we do an exorcism show. If I do that, I probably won't do it here because I'll be too scared to stay at home for it. But what I will say is that when they were telling me, like, when you have dreams at night, do not ever go into the water in your dreams. I don't know why. I've never asked to find out what that is, or what'll happen if you do. Don't let anybody put a ring on your finger in a dream, because that is your spirit spouse trying to intermarry with you. That's coming into agreement with a demon or a spirit. Don't do that. Don't eat anything given to you in a dream. There's so many different things that people don't even realize that's happening. A lot of times when the sleep paralysis happens, sometimes it can happen and I'm telling so much stuff. When you get to telling a lot of information like this that people don't understand or know, when spirits are around and they're watching and listening, they don't like that. And you will sometimes have technical difficulties on your devices, or you might have batteries to die on your phone and stuff like that, or hard time connecting. All kind of stuff can go wrong. And I've not had any problems with my email before tonight, getting ready to do this show with Ra. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, it completely shut down my ability to, like, access.
Yeah, you know what's crazy, because we really kind of said we're going to do this more or less yesterday kind of thing, and I had issues with my email as well. And then I'm trying to send this to, I was trying to send you all the information, and the communication problem. We had some major communication problems. Yes.
And that's not by chance. Anytime, if you ever listen to any shows when you got somebody that's going to come on the show and they're an exorcist and they're getting ready to expose some things and tell people what to do and what not to do, when it comes to this kind of stuff, then you're gonna have problems on on that end. Like, as far as in the spiritual realm, sometimes you can be on a live and people might see things behind you or in the room. Marquetta is still in the chat right now, and Marquetta can attest to what I'm about to say. During one of my shows that I did back before I started doing shows on YouTube, I was doing shows in my group before that, and I had an exorcist on the show at one point. In that particular, I don't think he's not an exorcist, but I know he has dealt with deliverance and stuff like that before, but he doesn't claim himself to be an exorcist. But he has helped to deliver somebody from spirit. He was even on an episode of Paranormal Witness, or one of these paranormal shows. It might have been a haunting, but I think it was Paranormal Witness, and I have to look for that episode. It's okay. It's okay. I have to look for that episode, and when I find it, I'll let y'all know. But during this particular episode, I had that exorcist on the show, and it's okay. No, it's all right. It's okay. Calm down. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I recently interviewed a gentleman who was involved with not Satan and not Satan. Was it Luciferian? He was a Luciferian. He was born and raised into Luciferianism. And that he was a very interesting person to talk to. He's come out of that now, and of course now he's completely flipped to the other side. But very interesting. Like, he's talking bloodlines of Nephilim and really, really intense stuff. Like the stuff that he saw and he had to do as a child as well. Very, very disturbing.
Because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these beings or entities or spirits or whatever, They have the ability to manipulate. It's okay. They have the ability to manipulate your reality. They have the ability to control what you see. It could be two people in the room at the same time. One person might see, Shadow Man. Another person might see, an alien or something like that. But they have the ability to affect your perception of what you see.
Yes, yes, exactly, and that's why we can actually, strangely, we said our everyone's reality is completely different. Even though we're all living on the same Earth, we are all experiencing reality different, and it could be from entities obscuring us, causing us to see or remember things differently or experience things differently. And it could also just be life in general that we're all experiencing everything kind of crazy on that. Suji, is it the same guy that was on Tony Merkel's show, right? Yes, it was. It was Nathan Reynolds. I actually had him on. We talked we went to some places that I had to cut out for YouTube, but I'm going to leave it intact for Rumble.
What was I going to tell y'all? I can't remember. It had something to do with it's so many different things when it comes to this. Did y'all have any more questions y'all wanted to ask about sleep paralysis?
If anybody has questions, throw them in all caps. Betina, you have a wealth of information on this. It's but it seems that you have a wealth of information because you've actually been experiencing all of this.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm fixing to cry. Like my bedroom door is wide open now. I had it closed.
Oh shit!
Hold on. I'm getting creeped out.
Yeah.
It's like, just.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Like this has never happened. Not the show. Come on.
No worries. This is, when you start hitting these subjects, sometimes when you start talking about them and bringing things to light, things get agitated, get moving around. It it definitely seems like you need some cleansing in your house. Something is still there. Is there perhaps gifts that were given to you that maybe, and this is just me reaching out and it's sometimes there's gifts that have attachments, and I know someone was talking about the past about someone having in our chats here something about Marquetta was talking about someone who bought a mirror. Here we go. This lady on TikTok bought a used mirror from an estate, and she's been having all types of paranormal activity in her home. There are entities that can be attached to items. Now, a mirror is also a portal of sorts. It is not of sorts. It is that. Now, and also, we're talking about occult things. Bettina, do you know anything about scrying, or do you know what scrying is?
I've heard of it, but I don't know too much about it. Could you share?
So scrying is when you use a black obsidian mirror to communicate with spirits or past loved ones. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, do you have something in your hand near you that looks like a black obsidian mirror?
I know that your phone is that.
Yes.
But it was powered off until just now. Like I had to go get my charger.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in general, we're all communicating to what could be spirits on the other end. We talk to our friends, but maybe you get messaged out of the blue by someone else. Could it not be a spirit messaging us through our devices, through our scrying devices? I really believe that mobile devices, like when I do, like, I would actually people would bring me to their homes to cleanse their homes. Now, that's one thing I would always say, all portals, all entrances to your home need to be cleansed as well. That included TVs, laptop devices, cell phones, and mirrors, because you have to make sure you seal the doorways. And those are all doorways, so they need to all be protected. And how are you doing, Betina? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Bob Smith said you're Jesus in 45,000 denomination of fraud.
Sorry, I missed that.
can't really scroll back up. It won't let me scroll back
Here we
up.
go. Like this one?
But yeah.
Yeah. Your Jesus is seen in 45,000 variations of fraud. Only could be one. Which one? Jesus
So
commanded you
Bob,
not to. Mhm.
Bob, what you need to understand with that is that with humans, we're going to always have a bunch of differences. And at the end of the day, you're supposed to be a follower of Christ, not all of these different denominations. That is human error. There's so many different things that we've been told through the years, the things that's been taken out of the Bible, things that's been changed. You got extra biblical books, you got the Apocrypha, you got the Talmud, you got all these different things, and then you got the interpretation of humans to either control the masses or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not held responsible for what I don't know because of what's been taken out, what's in there. You got what you brought up, and you was trying to, I'm sure, I don't know, you might not have been trying to be sarcastic. I don't know how many
No,
thousand.
he was. He was calling out that Jesus has been repeated so many times, like the Son of God has been repeated so many times throughout history. Now, this is something I actually don't mind getting into. Yes, we call it Jesus, the Son of God. Could not the world have been? Don't bob me shit. I know the unholy Bible. Okay.
He said he don't believe the Holy. You don't have to believe the Holy Bible, but I do. So for me, like, so this is not, so any person who is a non-Christian, you can believe whatever you want to believe. This is my experience. I'm telling you what I believe. Everybody has a right to their opinion. If you believe
Yes.
that they are interdimensional beings sent here to beam you up to a whole nother planet, have at it. I don't have a problem with that. That's your belief. I'm not a person that's going to come on here and try to recruit you or initiate you into Christianity. You are, at the end of the day, like, responsible for your own destination, your own soul, what you believe, what you don't believe. That has nothing to do with me. So I'm not, if some people think, like, sometimes when they get in the comments, it's, I don't know if it's to like try to offend somebody, but that doesn't work with me. I'm not offended. That's your personal feeling. That's your personal belief. And you're welcome to it. So I'm not feeling any type of way. I actually kind of like this right now because this shows a spirit of division, because it's an attack and there's no reason for it. You are entitled to whatever you believe. If you believe whatever you believe, that's fine.
So Bob said that I find this actually interesting because I actually heard, was it Peter or Paul is allegedly he has never been reported to die. He has never been reported that he died. One of the disciples, it was either Peter or Paul, was never reported to actually have died. They never actually said that. So when you're saying that Jesus told the disciples that they wouldn't make it through the cities of Israel before he returned, do you think the disciples are still waiting for Jesus to return? Yeah, allegedly there is one that is still waiting. But yeah, all right.
So,
but I think we're getting off topic though. We're getting off topic. I think we should bring it back to this. You know, when we talk about, so you were going to, I think we're going to bring up like aliens in association with this. What is your belief on aliens in association with sleep paralysis and, you know, shadow beings? Do you have any tie-in with that?
I feel that let me turn off the chat so I don't have to keep reading
No problem.
some of the stuff because it's distracting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is, again, like some of the stuff I talk about, you'll get stuff like this. So I've cut off comments so I don't have to look at that. Now, what I do want to say is that I feel like these beings can come in different forms. I feel like that some of the same, you just have to put the common denominators together. What happens during sleep paralysis? You see something else in the room, whether it is an alien, whether it is a demon, whether it is a shadow person or any other being under the sun. What are the common denominators with all of that? It's the sleep paralysis.
Yes.
Now, sometimes some people may say, I never went to sleep. I was just laying there in the bed and then I became paralyzed. I think I saw somebody in the chat earlier say that they went through sleep paralysis and had not ever gone to sleep. I experienced that one time. So
like sleep paralysis before you went to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that was. Was it Tammy? Could have been Tammy Johnson or Seesaw. I can't remember. Tammy, was that you that had the sleep paralysis before you went to sleep? We'll find out here.
So, and I want to bring up something else because I want y'all to understand, like, sometimes I think people come on channels and stuff like that to troll when you have to understand a lot of stuff in spiritual warfare. What I do want to say too is the fact that Bob, and I'm not trying to divert off, I just do want to say that you have to also kind of understand too that even though we are Christians, we do have issues. We do have questions. We do have things that we cannot explain that the Bible left out or the books have been taken out, so we don't know. There's times when we as Christians will sit back and like, why did I have to go through this? Or God, why are you not coming forth? Why are you not healing this person? Why does this person have to suffer? So I'm not a person that is somebody who sits up here and acts like I know everything, because I don't. Nobody has all the answers. But I can only tell you about my experiences, what I've been through, and as well as millions of other people, if not billions, all throughout the world. But back to what you were saying, Rob, like I just feel like that whole thing, I think that they can show up to whatever I'm not going to say more comfortable with, but whatever the reason, whatever the form they show up in, I just think that they have different ways. Now, I'm not saying, I have my thoughts on a bunch of different stuff, what it is. And a lot of people that are outside of Christianity will say, well, you Christians, anytime that you don't understand things and you don't know what it is, you are automatically quick to call it a demon. My thing I feel on that is that when it's somebody that's outside of Christianity, whatever they think it is, my mind is broad and open enough that their belief does not affect how I feel about my belief. I'm a person, this is the way that if I was going to have, you got Christian apologists that will sit up there and they'll debate an atheist or they'll debate a Muslim. You have to know what that Muslim believes. You got to know the atheist standpoint, and you got to be open-minded enough to be able to argue your point with that person, but still at the same time, you should still be able to be cordial with that person. Mm-hmm. I don't get offended. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to ever at any point, because I don't believe what you believe. I will never be that person that's going to say, you're an idiot because you don't believe in God. I'm not going to do that, because to each his own, and you have a right. It's called free will. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm moving right along. I don't believe in crystals. I know a lot of people do. Rod, did you want to speak on that?
I do, and I believe because crystals are the keepers of information. That's one thing we do know, and if we actually look into technology, crystal quartz are used in computers, so they can hold information. So what type of information can they hold? Well, I think that's up to you, but in your protection. Now, if you actually are looking for something for protection, black tourmaline, pyrite, what else is there? The selenite as well. Those ones are really, and of course, clear crystal quartz is always something that will protect you. And so those types of items, and sometimes the crystals do help, but it's also intention. Intention is the biggest thing. I think we are so much more powerful than we are led to believe. That with intention we can really do a lot of protection and protecting ourselves. So we have to have the intention and the positivity to remove these things from our life. And of course, sometimes we do need assistance. Sometimes we do need help, and we have to be able to ask for that help at times as well.
Absolutely. So we got like 9 minutes left. I'm going to tell y'all a quick story, and then Rod and I will get back together, and we may cover some other things, because we didn't get to touch on everything that I had planned tonight. But
we could definitely do another one of these, in the near future. I'm having a blast.
Yes, and I apologize. Like, I didn't expect all the strange weirdness, whatever that was happening here tonight. Like, so I apologize for getting off camera a few times. I had to kind of collect myself at times. My dog's reacting to everything too, so it's making me feel kind of creeped out. But I also know, like, here in the last several months, like, I haven't had to deal with anything. I've already kind of removed things remove stuff or spirits out of here. But anytime you talk about stuff like this, it's gonna make the ones, especially when you're exposing certain things, they don't want that information out.
No.
And they don't want people thinking they have any authority or power over it. But what I will say is that, you know what, I'll save it for the next show since we only got 8 minutes. Tonight was a show basically talking about sleep paralysis. I was gonna.
That's all right. It's a good introduction. Sleep paralysis 101. You know, we 10 or 201 will be next. Yes.
You know what? I am gonna go ahead and share it because
Do it.
I feel like they've been waiting.
It's not like I have to end exactly. It's like, oh, 2 hours. That's it. Closing the door. Nah, let's do it.
So I'm gonna tell y'all something. And I don't like talking about it because this is probably for me. I've had plenty of sleep paralysis and it scared me plenty of times. But this one incident had me halfway about ready to have like a nervous breakdown, y'all. And I really don't even want to talk about it. And I've talked about it a few times, but I don't like to talk about it. And especially like with all the weird stuff that's happening here tonight.
Yeah.
Hold on, and this is not for dramatic effect, I swear.
No, while you're collecting yourself, I'm just going to say, hey, everybody who's watching, make sure you guys hit that like button. Jump over for the viewers who are watching on my channel, jump over to Betina's, hit the like button, and vice versa. Jump over and hit the like on my channel. It really helps us as independent media is kind of what we are.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to say this. So talking about shadow people, and we'll make this a whole nother show. I'm just going to give y'all this quick story about my first shadow man experience. I'd heard people talking about shadow people for years. My show is Crypto-Normal Encounters with B Moss. I called it Crypto-Normal because I wanted the show to be for people to come on and share their cryptid and paranormal experiences and encounters. And plus, because Crypto-Normal, I figured the cryptid aspect and then the paranormal aspect simultaneously. Like sometimes cryptids have a sort of paranormal abilities, like that's not explainable. And when I say that, I mean like the cloaking, the predator effect, as I like to call it, things like that, the mind speak, those type of things. So that's why I call it Crypto-Normal. So shadow people fall into that category, as well as aliens, UFO abductions, all that kind of stuff, cattle mutilations. It falls in that category. But I've heard about shadow people for years. And I never really, I believed it because I'm not a person who's going to doubt. Millions of people are just not going to make that kind of stuff up. I know spirits exist. So there was never a time when I felt like they're lying about it. But I just didn't think it was interesting enough because I'd never seen it, never thought about it. And it just wasn't something I experienced until last year for the first time ever. I'm getting prayer over the phone and talking to a minister. And as I'm praying, and we're praying over the phone, and we were on video chat while I was getting prayer at that time, and on Messenger actually. And this goes back to what you were saying about the black screen, the scrying scrying mirror.
Yeah.
And I say this because this is the only reason I can make sense of it. I'm getting prayer, and after I got through getting prayed over, like I basically was like I felt at peace, and I felt like heaviness had lifted. And I'm walking from room to room, and I'm walking from the living room back into my bedroom, and I'm getting ready to cross the threshold from the hallway to the bedroom. But at the same time, I'm pulling the phone away from my face and going to put it on the dresser or something like that. And at that moment, the minister was like, B, hold up, pick the phone back up. And I'm like, hold on, just give me a second, because I'm getting ready. I'm trying to bed and put my pajamas on. But he was like, pick the phone back up. I picked the phone back up. And when I picked the phone back up, like I said, I'm on video chat on Messenger. I picked the phone back up. I'm looking at it. And as I look at it, I'm like, oh, shit. And I turn and I look back real fast. Then I look back at the phone. There's a shadow man. I'm 5'2", so I'm short.
Yeah.
A shadow man is standing directly behind me I'm in the doorway, like getting ready to cross the threshold from the hallway to the bedroom. I'm standing in the doorway. The shadow man, when the person said, stop, pick up your phone back up, I stopped, right there in the doorway. And when I picked the phone back up, they were looking like, oh my God. And I'm looking like, I turned and whipped my head back real fast because I thought at that moment, oh my God, like I left the door unlocked and somebody had broke into the apartment. I looked back in real time, there's nothing behind me. Turn, look back at the phone again. There is a black shadow man. I'm 5'2". This thing had been at least 6 feet tall or taller, standing directly behind me, like close enough, like if you with your boo and they're close enough to whisper in your ear or to spoon you or cuddle you from behind or anything like that. It was that close. And I look back again a second time. There's still nothing there. Look back at the phone. It's still standing there. And at this point, I realized this is a spirit. And I realized there's no point of even closing the bedroom door because it's a spirit. It can walk through the door. At this point, I take off running and I jump on the bed like a child with my back to the headboard and like my knees up to my chest with my arms wrapped around my knees, and I'm rocking back and forth and I'm crying and I'm hyperventilating and I'm panicking and I'm like, oh my God, like my mind is racing. And so my mind is like, if you just leave and go get a hotel room tonight, then you don't have to be here because this is scary. There's no way you're gonna be able to go to sleep in here tonight. But then my other mom was like, no, this is your home. If you leave tonight, when you come back, it's still here.
Yeah.
Cast it out, make it leave. This is your home. And so that night I had to brave my fear, get up out of the bed and come through and like pray through my home and like go through and anoint the doors. Thankfully I had some olive oil, and I don't think that has anything to do with it. It can work with or without olive oil.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it can work without olive oil, you don't need those things. Those are things with your intent, your prayer, your
exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, your
belief.
intention.
That's what's going to do it for you. But that thing, why was it here? Why was it just standing behind me like that? And when I say behind me, I don't mean literally behind me, like this chair is behind me right now, like that close.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you here? And so after I prayed and went through, I felt better. But at the same time, I went on the stage here that night, but I slept with all the lights on in the apartment that night. And I went to YouTube and I just put on scriptures to listen to go to sleep. I was too terrified to go to sleep with that. Now that's only 1 or 2 times that I saw the thing, but I'll share the second story and other things that I want to talk to y'all about with astral projection and everything else when Ryan and I set up another show. So it'll be a part 2.
Yeah, definitely. This is like, so the reason why I believe these entities will latch onto us is one of 2 reasons. One reason, if we're open to it, if we're depressed, suicidal, anything like that, we give it an opening to come into us. Now, the other reason is when our light is so bright that they are attracted to that, because there is opposites. They say opposites attract, but this is what it means, that for however good something there is, it can't be good unless there's the equal of the evil. And I know that sounds disheartening. Yeah. But it's true. There cannot be good without evil, unfortunately. Otherwise everything is just a neutral. For the evil that you see out in this world, all this negativity, know that there is the balance that exists within us. We can be those people who create that balance, but there are extreme good beings out there as well.
Yes. And so like I said, like y'all just understand when y'all see people show up in the comments like that, understand that when it comes to the show, like, I don't know, like I just kind of look at stuff too, like we're all adults. Like I'm 44 years old. Y'all are probably anywhere in y'all's 20s up to 50s, maybe even 60 years old. We're adults now.
Yep.
At some point in time, you have to get past the point where if anybody has a difference in opinion, you should be able to have a difference in opinion without insults and stuff like that, because it's not necessary. But also at the same time, to be able to keep an open mind enough that things that we don't understand, some things we're not meant to understand, and we will never understand until the day we die. And I don't think everything is meant for us to understand, but I feel like that anything that you don't understand, ask.
Yeah, exactly. Ask. But like, I do agree. Some things we aren't meant to know, but we will. Once we cross over. I have so many questions when I cross over. It's like, oh my God, let me into those records, into the Akashic records. I want to know. I want to know about the Bermuda Triangle. I want to know about this. It's kind of, yeah. I
Oh
do.
yes, I got so many questions. I want to know what's under Antarctica. I want to know, is there really an inner Earth?
Yep.
What's his name? Admiral Byrd. I want to know, was he really telling the truth? I want to know, is there really
Operation
alien
High
base?
Jump. Yep.
Operation High Jump. I want to know, did they really find the firmament like they said? Because
Operation Fish. That's Operation, in my opinion, Operation Fishbowl. That's when they shot nuclear weapons into the sky. Why would they do that? To try to break their way out.
exactly.
Mhm.
But do you also remember that when all that was going on, you also remember that there were planes when Admiral Byrd was over there, and those planes they would go up so high and then they would run into that wall, and they were saying the planes crashed into nothing. But it wasn't nothing. They say that Antarctica is supposed to be I don't know if that's the border or you've gotten to the wall. That's why the ice is so high, and I don't know how many hundreds of feet or whatever, but wasn't the ice wall so high that it took them a while to actually, did they ever get to the top of that ice wall?
I believe they did. And that's why when I believe Admiral Byrd crossed over, and he was, that's when we can get into New Schwabenland as well, an association with that as well. So that is a whole other story. That's something I find really fascinating. And I know Matt from Planet 412, that's one of his go-tos. That's one of the things he's really interested in.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, no wonder what we know, right now in this world, if anybody ever questions any of this stuff, you just got to understand, for me, the fact of seeing a dog man, I believe I'm a person that I give people, I have a lot of trust for people. Until you give me a reason not to trust you. And I'm just not going to be that person that automatically right off the top just believe, okay, they lying, they making shit up. I'm not that. Because some people will make stuff up, but why would you do that? And I'm not saying some people won't just do it. Some people just like to lie. But why would you do that when you're not getting paid to do so?
Yeah.
You're not getting paid for it unless you just want that notoriety. You just want to be on the show. There's enough information that's out there about Dogman and Bigfoot now that if enough people listen to enough shows, they know exactly what to say and make up a great encounter. They could write a book.
Yeah. But in those encounters, I think you really have to listen, because those encounters will change. There always will be changes. But people who've had actual experiences, nothing really ever changes from their experiences. Nothing will ever change from their stories. And Suji, I actually am a believer in truth in plain sight and truth in Hollywood. Game of Thrones joke, is it? There's a lot of one of my listeners, Bryce. We were talking about certain cartoons that had truth in them, and I think there's a lot of truth within the movies.
So, somebody said something a few minutes ago. Yeah, Tammy, when you get a chance, check out Admiral Byrd. What did you say she should look up for that, Ra?
I would say, there's definitely search into Project High Jump with Admiral
Hollow
Byrd.
Earth.
Hollow Earth. What is the name? There's a name for Hollow Earth. Can any of our listeners come up with the name for Hollow Earth? I forget. There's a specific name for it.
Agartha?
Agartha. That's it. Yep. Agartha. Yes. Yeah. Admiral Byrd. Oh,
That's my puppy. She was seeing all that stuff a few minutes ago in Bargain.
Yeah. She's trying to protect you. She's trying to protect her mom.
Yes, it's okay.
What?
Yep. So Agartha. But he went into that inner earth, and when he got in the inner earth, that's when he was saying that he saw what did he see? It was all green in there. It wasn't this land of ice and cold water and snow and stuff like that, like you saw in Antarctica. It was a whole nother sun and solar system in there.
Yes, there was another sun.
Yeah, a green rainforest in there. You had prehistoric dinosaurs that were supposed to be extinct living down there still.
Have you heard of the Vonage manuscript?
No, I haven't.
The Vonage manuscript was this book, this complete book in writing that they haven't been able to decipher about this whole other biology of plants and everything. It is so in depth that it's too thorough to be a hoax. And then there's also, and I can't remember where they were, but there's the green children, the two green children that they discovered they came from another land. And there's so many things we could talk about, Betina. We need to do this as a regular thing.
We should. Definitely. We've got so much stuff to talk about. Well, Ron,
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and eat and then get off of here. And Oh,
Yeah.
Marquetta said the water looks different in Antarctica. Now I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let y'all go, but one of the things that they also said that there's the fallen angels or whatever, or some people might call it ancient aliens or whatever you want to call it, Anunnaki, that they are buried in Antarctica. I don't know how true that is, but there's a lot of weird things there. They were seeing aircraft there when Admiral Byrd was there that they had never seen before, and they thought it was from the Russians or it was this group or that group. It's so many different stories to this. I can't. I'm gonna stop. I
I,
can go so
I
many places.
guess what? Speaking of Antarctica, I'm actually having a guest on in a couple of weeks who's worked in Antarctica.
Really?
So, yes, yes. I'm looking forward to that one. He almost canceled on me due to scheduling conflict, but we were able to reschedule to an earlier time. So I'm going to have him on. Yeah, that's one thing I would say. Like, this is one of the reasons I started doing this is because I thrive. You know, like I just need this information. Not need this information, but we're explorers. I like by heart, humans are explorers. Now, maybe there's not much land left to explore that we know of, but I can still be an explorer into the mysteries of the world. And this is what I want. I want to find out these answers, or at least try to get some answers while I'm still kicking here. That is what I'm doing.
Yes, please do. We got so much stuff. We're gonna come back together again, y'all, because we're not. This is when you get into talking about this stuff, it can go on and on and on. It's just not a. It's all interconnected. I'll say that.
100%. You know what? I was talking, like I said, Vicky Joy. You got to talk to her, Betina. She is amazing. She was saying it's all connected. We all have like a piece of the puzzle. And she said, but people are so concerned that they're a piece of I have a piece of a UFO puzzle. My puzzle is only a UFO. And she's like, no. The UFO is part of the whole picture. It's all connected. We all have a piece of the puzzle. We got to put it together. So we have to stop like, these Bigfoot community is not going to talk to the UFO or alien community. But when we start realizing it's all connected, this is so connected. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, they have started to somewhat come together and open up to it now too, because they realize, and even like when you look at the Bigfoot and Dogman sightings and experiences, a lot of times they've also been spotted in areas where there's lights in the sky or UFO sightings and stuff like that.
100%.
I got so much, but we'll get back together. Thank you for having me on the show tonight, Rob. I'm so excited. It was a wonderful show.
Definitely. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I think with that, I'll just go to our exit. And thank you so much for all our listeners and viewers. Appreciate it all.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
I look forward to our next adventure together as we navigate the mysteries that lie ahead. Until our paths cross again, keep your curiosity wandering and ensure the light remains lit.